Welcome to another episode of Future Journalism Today Live. And we're live. Our special guest is Marije Martens today. And if you're watching this live, welcome. And if you like, please say hi in the chat over there and we'll give you a shout out. If you don't watch live or at any moment at night, early mornings, afternoon, it doesn't really matter. A special welcome to you as well. You're watching Future Journalism Today Live. And it's a interactive live show where we get to chat with you, the live audience, and we share and explore best practices with innovators in journalism. It's for you if you're a content creator, a storyteller, a journalist, or whatever, doing anything in storytelling, content creation, journalism industry. This show's for you, and we hope that you can contribute with us. Now, you might ask, well, Lawrence, what am I in for? I will let you know. This is what we have on the show today. As said, we have Marije Martens as our special guest. She is a co-founder of Are We Europe and a project manager at Drog. She will be telling us all about what she did and does at Are We Europe and at Drog. And she's brought some tools, a game. She's going to show a game and a tool she used to build interactive stories for Are We Europe. She has some advice for you later on about what you should not be doing anymore, what you should stop doing, but also on a more constructive note about what you should be doing as a journalist. Some interesting advice there. And we'll end off with some live Q&A. So again, please tell us where you're from, if you're watching, which country, which city, maybe the role you have, the newsroom you're associated with, or what you're interested in when it comes to the topics Marije will discuss. And well, without any further ado, welcome to the show, Marije, and I'll switch screens. Marije, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great to have you on the show because I think I'm not the only one looking forward about what you're going to show and tell about your ideas on the future of journalism. So it's really great to have you here. And for the people who don't know you, Marije, or don't know Are We Europe or Drog, let me do a very short and quick introduction. And I have to switch screens again. And please do add or correct me if I'm wrong. Are We Europe is a collective and a network. There's over 700 journalists, photographers, editors, artists, documentary makers. You do a quarterly magazine, print magazine, physical magazine. You're a studio as well. You did productions for example, Eurosonic, if I'm not mistaken. You just launched 4 years ago. With a group of Dutch students, and in 2019 you were nominated for European Press Prize, right?
That's perfect.
Okay. And just to give a visual impression to our viewers, this is, I think, one of your earlier editions from Are We Europe print editions. This is how the current website looks. If you go to areweeurope.com, exploring what it means to be European. This is your latest print issue, magazine issue, the climate issue. Can we still buy it online?
Absolutely. It's just out, all there.
And then you get it sent via old snail mail to your mailbox, right?
Yeah. But It's also a digital issue, which I can show you later on. Yeah.
Okay, great. And this is just a screenshot of your Instagram account, which is beautifully curated with illustration, photographs, a call for pitches. So please do check this out. And then your new project, where you recently became a project manager, is at Drog, or about bad news. I think a good way to fight bad news. And I think the mission I read is to make us immune to disinformation. And to sum it all up, bad news, or Drog in Dutch, it's a multidisciplinary team of journalists, academics, media experts doing talks, workshops, research, educational programs, and it's all to help build resistance to disinformation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, having this all said, welcome again to the show. And one of the first questions I had when you told me you just sort of transferred to Drog, how does a co-founder of a European network, being on the front lines of the innovation in journalism, transfer to Drog? It's an organization who fights disinformation. Can you?
Yeah, to another front line of innovation in journalism. I think that's the core part of it. Both of them have a very innovative character. And how did that happen? I mean, first of all, starting a journalism collective like Are We Europe with 4 of your best friends is incredibly exciting.
Yeah,
It's
but
the best thing that I've ever done.
you found it with Ties, with Mick and Kirill, right?
And
Yeah.
Kirill, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So the 4 of us started this, as you said, 4 years ago, as basically a blog, a project, an idea, whatever, and it grew into what it is today, which is a magazine with a studio connected, which has this network of young Europeans all over the place. And there's definitely so much room for growth, but there's also something about the way that you work as a person. And I think I needed to move to a different place and not work with friends my whole life, even though
Okay.
it was a bliss and a dream.
But you're
And
still
then
involved, right?
absolutely, yeah, for sure. So Ties and I are still board members, but Kirill and Mick run the place now.
Yeah.
And do that very well, which is exciting to see. I still get involved in the design of things just because that's my pet peeve and the thing that I got really excited about. And yeah, I'm even in the same co-working space, which is where I'm recording this right now. So we
So the other
are
founders
fighting each other.
are in close proximity physically.
Always around me.
Okay,
So
because you are in Brussels right now, and I think Are We Europe is based in Brussels, and is Drog based there as well?
No, Drog is based in The Hague, but they generously allowed me to live in Brussels. And I mean, with COVID, everyone's working from home anyways. We are lucky to have this co-working space to ourselves so that we can be here. But basically, this is the new normal, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So can you tell us, for the people who don't know Are We Europe, how did the idea came about? How did this all started out?
It started, I think, as a wish to make a documentary series, which would be about nationalism in Europe, and that was out of our own interest in university. But when we got there, the first location that we went to was Barcelona, and we filmed during the elections there. And what we noticed was there were so many people who wanted to get involved in our story that it felt really wrong to push just our story. And it turned into an idea to create a platform for young Europeans to share all of their own stories.
And that was 2015 or 16, something like that?
Yeah, around that time. Yeah, so the first documentary series was 2015, and the start of the platform, the project, was in 2016. And so much was happening in Europe. This idea of a European spirit was definitely there within our generation, but we also saw it because of a Charlie Hebdo shooting or moments that were resonating throughout the whole continent that made us really aware of being European. But what we also saw at the same time was that all of these young journalists who wanted to get involved into this project had to work as freelancers, weren't getting the jobs that they wanted or needed. And that's when Are We Europe grew into this idea for a studio. We thought, if we are getting the connections that are really valuable, where we can get big content contracts going, then why not try and spread that out over Europe as much as possible and create that freelancer network of people that can all tap into our European connections.
Yeah. That's very interesting, especially because I think you studied, you have a master's degree, a science degree, but in nationalism, right? At the University of Edinburgh. So what is this about nationalism and European? I think you must have told people a million times, but so why this sort of focus on the European, I don't know, identity or European coherence?
I think one thing for me was that when I started looking at nationalism, it was like the thing called the shell off, like I started to see the world in a different way. And I started to realize how much of our identities are constructed by the states that we are in. But if those states are less tangible because there's this European Union that is constructed, then what does that mean for our identity? The core disagreement that we seem to be having about state versus EU, to me, seems much more of an identity question. And that was just really interesting to me to start to realize. And that also bleeds so interestingly into journalism, where you're not just reporting on dry politics, but you're always reporting on stories of people that deal with these politics.
Yeah.
So
And how about your co-founders? Did they have the same sort of perspective or feeling, or what was the thing that united you?
I think they nerded out way less about nationalism than I did, but other than that, we we definitely all shared a same sense of interdisciplinary approaches. The idea that we were interested in politics, but also journalism and literature and culture, and all these things were part of our studies at Amsterdam University College. So interdisciplinary was something that we were living and breathing even before it became part of the work that we were doing later. And I think that made us such a team that could work together very quickly, because we understood what that interdisciplinary work meant very early on.
So what did it bring you after these first 4 years? I can imagine those were quite hectic, chaotic, but now you found a way to do this.
For sure.
Back,
Did it bring me personally?
Yeah, but also maybe the journalistic landscape in Europe as well.
I think it brought a sense of urgency, first of all, that journalism is in a difficult state right now, but also a sense that it can be solved if you dare to be a bit interdisciplinary. So if you dare to have a bit of a business sense as a journalist, or to step into journalism from a different perspective, just because you think there are things that need to be changed. I never studied any journalism. I didn't do a business course. I didn't do anything that is what I'm doing right now, but I did bring a perspective that was very valuable to the work that I'm doing right now.
And with all the other co-founders, you had 4 or 3 more different perspectives to be more interdisciplinary.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So let's see if our viewers have some questions. We'll have to do some shout outs, because I see there are quite some comments. We've got Kirill say hello. I'm a big fan. That's good to know. And then here is, wow, that's interesting. We have someone from India, Priyanka Shankar. Welcome to the show. I'm a freelance journalist currently based in Brussels. Work with Marije at Are We Europe. Looking forward to the session. Nice. Mick says hi, Lawrence and Marije. And then we got Thomas saying, watching from the Netherlands, intern at Are We Europe. Great, you've got everyone teamed up, right? And then Kirill, again, good to see you, Thomas.
See the network, man. It's it's my most exciting thing about Are We Europe, is that this network is all over the place.
Yeah. And we've got more Belgium. Whoa, wait, my microphone just dropped. Watching from Belgium. I'm sorry, watching from Belgium. Super interested in her insights. We got Louisa, the guest on the previous show from the data scientist from Dagens Nyheter, Sweden. Hi, Louisa. Hi back. And we got Anne-Marije van der Wil. I think she was a viewer on the last show as well. Big fan of Our Europe, so that's good to know. Awesome. Hi, Anne-Marije. So great you've all are all joining us. So before we go into the next segment, which is the unboxing, where you're going to show us a serious game, right, by Drog. I was just wondering, you said I was also responsible for design with Are We Europe, and you told me, I think when we last met, that you're also became some sort of business developer, but maybe everyone on the founders team did everything. What were your primary responsibilities for Are We Europe?
Yeah, I think as a founder, you're always busy trying to think of the next step, right? And what comes next is very important when there's not enough money yet. So a lot of it just becomes very straightforward business development. But also being the person that was just most into design myself, just from purely a personal standpoint, I just taught myself Adobe programs and then did the first bits. Luckily, we were able to hire actual designers at some point. But my role still became to set out this design vision for Our Europe. So what does it need to look like, and what is the field that we're going for? Which is specifically really important if you're doing a print magazine, because it's not just a story, it's a product, something that you put on your table. You have to identify with it. And again, I think that's where my interest for design comes from, that bigger sense of identity.
Yeah. And was it just for print, or also on the online?
Also online, for
Time? Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
We have always had our issues online as well as in print.
Yeah.
With the challenge that we just want to make our print issues so exciting that you want to have it at home, but to never put a paywall on our stories by having it just in print. So therefore, we just try to make these online issues as exciting as possible as well. They're just both completely different journalistic products right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Well, let's head into the next segment, and I've got these small bumpers to show, and it's the unboxing. And
Nice.
yeah, because you have unboxing and a live demo. Which one do you want to start with first?
Maybe let's start with the bad news game, because I've told so much about our reorg already, but now I'm working at this new organization, which I think is extremely exciting.
So, dear viewers, Marije is going to share her screen with us. It's always exciting.
Yes.
It's always a bit scary because it's live. If you do have any questions at this point or would like to add anything, please do use the chat, and we'll be looking at your questions and comments. There's your screen, and I'll add it. And so this is.
Awesome.
Tell us what we're seeing right now.
This is the bad news game, and this is a game, one of the projects that is organized by Drog. And Drog as a whole is basically an incubator style organization that sets up all these projects that tackle disinformation. And this was the first one, and it seems very simple. It's a basic game, but what this game does is to put you into the mindset of the troll, of the bad guy, of the person spreading the disinformation. And through doing that, you learn what the techniques and tactics of these people are, so that if you see disinformation in the wild, you are more likely to be able to spot it. And this has been done in collaboration with Cambridge University. And the exciting thing is that they, through their research, found that people who played this super simple game were 20% more likely to spot disinformation after having done this game.
And who is the target audience to play this game?
It's quite broad. They launched it quite broadly, and it just went viral on Reddit, which I think was very exciting, because you're looking specifically for people who are online a lot.
Yeah.
But versions of this game are also used in classrooms right now, on high schools, and could even be used, for example, for corporates to use for their employees, who they think are possibly at risk of doing their work less good if they are influenced by disinformation.
Yeah.
So every game has a specific game. Yeah, let's go.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. Don't let us wait any longer. And I'll put the URL out in the show notes as well, so people can play it themselves. But just walk us a bit through, play it a little bit, and there might be any questions.
So it's just a very simple game, which uses all of these random but very funny prompts. So first you're introduced to a person who's introducing you to become a news tycoon.
Don't go too fast. We might want to read along.
Yeah, I noticed it. So basically, you're going to be this fake news tycoon. Playing on this idea of we're all using Twitter, right? It's like let's make you feel what these people that spread disinformation are feeling. So your first step is posting frustrated tweets. It gives you a couple of examples. This one here: this government is a complete and utter failure. #resign, losers. Such a feeling that people have.
And to be more precise, this game was created when? When was the initial idea launched for the game?
I think this is 2 years ago now, in 2018.
Yeah, and imagine how sort of hyper urgent this is right now. If you look at these texts, this copy, right? Yeah.
For sure, all of these, and the whole thing is the tactics and techniques of disinformation are made for you to feel like it's hyper urgent. That's the whole idea. So if you see these tweets, you're very easily riled up, or you take a back seat and you understand what's happening. But the idea is that all of these things are supposed to make you super riled up. So if you tweet that, something happens. Here you see how many followers you've gained by doing that, but your credibility is quite low. So that's a problem. If you want to be this super huge tycoon, you got to get the most followers and the highest credibility, which is something that we're going through in this game. Let's see. The next, I'll just let you read it.
Words to live by, but people don't find you very
now you need to
yet.
raise your... Exactly. So it explains what I basically just explained to you. Here it will give, normally, please do this. This is where Cambridge comes in and actually reviews who you are. This is how they actually get their information. We're not doing that right now. Okay, but we want to make sure that you actually become a credible person. So we are going to fake a credible person. Who's this person? Okay, so let's try and act like you're Donald J. Trump, who's president of the United States of America. I'm not sure how long we should actually click through this, but... Okay.
Now you get to choose the right sort of person you want to.
Exactly. You get to choose the person. Now we understand it's a bit fake. Starts to explain to you how people fake accounts on Twitter. Some people react to that because they think Nickelodeon is saying something horrible about SpongeBob. Which means some people are picking up on this, right? Some people are starting to understand that you're actually a credible account. That's their perception. Let's see. I think the rest of and what I love about this game is that it's made to be funny. It's made to be super easy to play, but it has little prompts to make you understand what's happening. I think for now, I'll leave it here so that you guys can play the actual game on your own and go through these moments together.
Because there are different categories, right? Different sort of themes where you get to deploy to disinform audiences, right?
I can, So let's see if I'll have to play through the whole game to show you that, which maybe is not worth it right now.
People, live viewers or viewers, if you're watching this at a later point, please do check out the game, and you can find it at aboutbadnews.com, right? There you can play it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And please have a look at specifically how easy to use this is, and how it feels like it's the most simple game ever. It's funny, it's quick, but in hindsight, it makes you understand what the tactics were that you were actually playing all along. And that moment for me, even having thought that I was a very very media savvy person, I started to understand a lot better what these moments were that I was actually being influenced.
Now,
and not just to understand them.
I'm sorry? No?
Not just to see it, but to also understand it in a bigger framework, which to me was super useful.
Yeah, and now working within this organization that fights disinformation in many ways, what are the most important things you've learned while joining Drog about bad news, about what journalists should or should not do?
Nice. I think the most important thing is that we tend to fight disinformation based on the content. So when we see disinformation, we get angry and we respond to the content by saying that's not true. Whatever you were saying is fake news, and we're just going to shout very loudly that that is not true.
Wait,
And
Mariah,
the
I've got a segment alert because I think you're going to give us some advice, right? So
yeah,
this
fair
is
enough.
Stop It Journalist. So again, if you can recap, you say
Yeah,
we tend to fight content that disinforms the people, that's not right, that have their facts wrong, right?
yeah, exactly. So stop doing that.
Yeah,
Stop fact checking in hindsight and saying this is not true, whatever was written in this blog or whatever this tweet said, and start focusing on the process. So disinformation is generally spread in many different ways,
yeah,
and very often it is spread by users that are not actual users. So this idea of inauthentic behavior, and specifically coordinated inauthentic behavior, which means that there's a group of people who are faking accounts and acting like they are actual people spreading news, are riling up all of this storm online. The problem there is that if we counter that by saying everyone can say what they get to say, and that's freedom of speech. So let's allow freedom of speech. You forget the part that this kind of organized behavior actually limits freedom of speech. It actually creates a space in which one side gets attention that is not proportional to the amount of people actually believing in that type of information. So no.
I can see where you're going, but you just talked about, you say it's coordinated, inauthentic actions. Do you have maybe some sort of real world example about what Drog encountered or what research told you?
Yeah, sure. So, for example, in the Netherlands, there was a journalist who found out that one of our biggest pop singers in the country was actually using a whole group of accounts to popularize his own account and his status. And there they found that out because a certain number of users was logging in at exactly the same order every single time and liking his posts in the same way. So what they found out is that set of users is actually connected because they are always logging up, liking something at the same rate. With the result that he actually became very, very famous and got many social media fame, but was also attacking other artists and starting to see a bad side of this in a sense that was not okay. A worse story, maybe even, was
I
a
forgot the
set of
name of
data.
the artist, by the way, but maybe
Yeah,
someone in the
Drog.
audience could add the name to the live chat, and then as a reminder. But then you
Yeah,
say a more worse, more maybe dark example.
I think a darker like that. I think is really a good example to see how it works. Also, definitely go read the article about him by Robert van der Noorda. But a worse example was maybe even a set of data where they found out that a certain set of users was only posting stuff between 9 and 12 on weekdays. And again, finding out that this set of users is probably related, spewing the same information or disinformation. And Robert van der traced that back to what's it called in English? It's like a daycare for people with disabilities. Who are being used to spread disinformation. So maybe in that sense, even worse, a process of spreading information that not only influences our opinion and our freedom of speech, but it also influences the people that are actually being misused to spread this type of
Yeah, I was
information.
just wondering how they would have coerced these people to like these posts or to spread this kind of disinformation, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what would your advice be? So you said don't counter it with sort of actual factual information, but what should journalists do when they counter misinformation or disinformation?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out now. I think first, never or always try to check whether a Twitter storm is actually legit.
Yeah.
What we know from journalists is that obviously they are on a beat, and if something online goes rogue about a topic that they are supposed to write about, and they feel like it's something that they weren't even aware of, you're very likely to just jump on that and start writing your little articles, like the articles that don't even mean anything, but you just need to do it because you're a journalist. I think that is a legit feeling, and we totally understand the pressure of delivering in the newsroom.
So it's sort of zoom out of your reflexes and then see what, maybe debunk the mechanism or the data that's behind. Yeah,
exactly. And what we're trying to do, and this is very much in the early phase, but this is why I got hired at Drog to develop this.
That was my next question. So,
yeah. Awesome. This is working. Is a thing called forensic journalism, and we still have to come up with the actual title for this project, but this is the working title. And the idea there is that we're gonna use these tools from Robert van den Noorde, the journalist that found out all these wonderful things, and try and see if we can make this available to more journalists in the Netherlands and hopefully in the rest of Europe as well.
So you don't have to have a technical background or an engineer, developer kind of background.
Exactly.
You still can use these kind of techniques.
Exactly. You cannot do this. Not every journalist can specialize in this type of data science. But what we can do is create task force that are at the ready for journalists to make sure that they can do the research that they need to do and truly find out what the truth is, right? Yeah. Which is the one thing that journalists are supposed to do.
And any idea on estimated timings or roadmap when these tools will become available for journalists?
We are hoping to start a pilot project for the upcoming Dutch elections.
And those are, for people that are not familiar with Dutch elections, in
March next year. So that's where we're going towards. Obviously, elections are the most important moments for these types of fact checks. And it would be amazing if we get to that point. So you gotta follow me to keep up to date for that.
Okay. Well, great, and thank you for sharing this piece of advice when it comes to disinformation. And now I'll just show the banner again. We have another unboxing. And I think with this, you're going to show us a tool you use to build interactive stories, right?
Yeah,
and we have to switch to your screen again, I think. Yes. Okay, so tell me, what are we looking at?
So we are looking at a tool called ReadyMag.
Yep.
And ReadyMag is, I think, part of our philosophy at Europe in a way that I never thought possible. It has become a really big part of us because we were such a young journalism startup with no design experience or any other experience to speak of. We have always looked for tools that are really easy to use, and also for tools that allow us to do multimedia journalism very quickly and very easily. Yep. So the beautiful thing about ReadyMag is that we could use this collaboratively in different places. So we could even work with people from all over Europe, and create designs that were actually exciting. We know of a couple of really big multimedia projects by The Guardian or the New York Times that have been made by developers that spent ages on this, which is wonderful, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
But the problem is only The Guardian and the New York Times can do that. With something like
resources it takes, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Like they send a team to one place. Like they might even send a team all across the world to do like multimedia storytelling together for 2 weeks, and source these stories. Then go back. Then work months to put the story together.
Yeah.
And what Europe has tried to do is create stories as quickly as possible by working within the design from the start. So we work within ReadyMag and just start putting our stuff in the moment it comes in. With
Is
different
this where
freelancers.
your initial idea and sketches start as well? You immediately start working in ReadyMag, or?
We always sketch with loads of post-its, so that part is still very post-it heavy. For that, we've always looked to the Google Design Sprint as our core methodology, so that's something that you are very well known with, obviously. So that's the first part. We look into these brainstorming sketching sessions that are very easy, and then the moment that we start having our first content, we work within ReadyMag. So
now show us, how does that work?
ReadyMag is drag and drop. It just you can put in widgets whatever you like. So it can be a simple text widget right here. You can add anything from images to music to all kinds of widgets that are useful to you. Literally, so many things are available. As you see, super easy to put in. I just drop them in, put them somewhere, and within this space I can edit the design of it very easily. I can link them to something. I can create position on the page in a very easy way. Layers, stack them in any way. Those things are super, super easy to work with. But the most exciting part is the animation section, which is, I think, the dream for any journalist, because you have all these storytelling ideas in your head where you say, and then I tell this part, and then I do that, and then you get to all these moments. So, for example, if you would do a move effect and you say you want something to slide in, I would put it outside of the visible screen, as you can see.
The canvas, right? Yeah, which
exactly. There's a simple canvas that you can that is visible. I would just put it outside of that, and then I make sure that it moves from that place to that place on a scroll, and I add that, and it just. Literally, that's the only thing that is necessary to make it move in, which is exciting. It has different animation styles available, and it has the availability to load in your own fonts and other design elements that are easy and quick to use. This is for free, this part. Just your first project, which I think is also very exciting, because for young journalists it means that they get to play around with design and animation in a way that you would never be able to do if you need to learn it from the start.
And why is that? Can you tell a bit about the learning curve? Is it hard to?
For me, I learned this in a day, and we did this also with our workshops. So we do workshops where we go to a place with a group of 10 journalists, for example, and create a story within a week. And in these workshops, I do a one-day session to get up to speed with how ReadyMag works. And almost everyone can make something. As long as you have a bit of an eye for design, you can make something in this within a day.
That's a good thing to add. As long as you have an eye for design, but it doesn't hold you back when you're hesitant or maybe anxious to use these sort of technology or tools for animations. This would just go in there, and if after a day with you and when you say we, I think you mean Are We Europe, the team, then you get to actually publish something by using this tool.
I can show you the latest thing that we published, just to show you a little bit what kind of animation is possible.
I'll go full screen again.
Let's see.
And you have to.
Click. There we go. So this is our latest climate issue design, which is on purpose very empty. Because what we did is we calculated what CO2 offset will be necessary for the data that we use for this website. So rather than seeing the image, you see the CO2 that it costs to view this image.
Yeah.
But obviously that is an animation that you need to put in that would be hard in any type of website.
So what we're looking at right here is what you've built using ReadyMag, and you've put
Yeah.
that on your areweeurope.com climate issue website.
All of this was first the white empty page that you saw earlier. So
Okay.
I think that's a really, really exciting part. But this one also has, I think this is my most exciting thing, again, explaining how much a tweet is in CO2. And it has this beautiful tiny little animation. Look at that. Basically bring an infographic to life online, which I think is a really exciting thing to do. So this and other styles of design are very natural and easy to make in ReadyMag, as long as you are willing to put in some hours to make it look good.
I can see you use your own typefaces, your own fonts, your own colors. You can customize it any way you like.
Obviously, then you got to go to the paid subscription, but that is for sure.
It's really interesting to see, and thank you for showing us about just how a blank canvas with this tool works, and then actually get to see the end result of how you've used it for Are We Europe. So it's really cool. Thank you for sharing this with us, Marije. And I know that you have some advice when it comes to working collaboratively, right, and working on these sort of interactive stories. So again, I'll show the Stop It journalists and then see what kind of advice you have.
Nice.
Let's get back to you.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, stop it, journalists. Stop, especially in newsrooms, stop trying to do everything with your own newsroom. There are hundreds of young journalists out there that can produce great work and that can bring in multimedia expertise that is generally not available within newsrooms. And yeah, before newsrooms had a right to be a bit scared to do this because there was very little control over a freelancer. But now what we can do is we can work in something like ReadyMag together and create a product and be with young journalists or any freelancing journalist basically on the ground while a production is being made. So the old-fashioned idea of everything needs to come from our own newsroom because freelancers are untrustworthy, I think is not valid anymore in this day and age. And specifically during COVID, when your own journalist shouldn't be flying around and meeting people, it's even more likely that you will need to use freelancers from all over the world.
So those are two things. The tools are available, so you don't have to build anything anymore. And second, go out and reach out to freelancers that are actually out there in different countries, different places where you don't need to send your own reporters, but those people are as probably as good as yours. And don't be shy, don't hesitate. That's what you're saying.
And use those tools. So also teach your newsroom how to use these tools so that it doesn't feel like a hurdle every single time to reach out to a freelancer.
Yeah,
I think that's an important one to keep journalism going.
That's some great advice. And with that, we'll go to the last segment, and that's the live Q&A. And let's see if there are any questions left, because there were a lot of shout outs to you. Oh, there's one from Kirill, and I think you know quite well, but he says, one thing I've heard is that by debunking fake news on social media, you're often unwillingly contributing to its spread. Do you know some possible ways out of that? Thank you, Kirill, for asking this question.
Yeah, I like that. This is something that's been happening a lot in the disinformation sphere, is that focusing on the process. So the moment that we realize that something is being spread by illegitimate ways or inauthentic ways, collaborations with social media platforms can happen to make sure that those tweets or whatever posts are not being spread as quickly as before. So yeah, it will always need a cross-sectoral approach.
Yeah, so working together with the platforms. Yeah,
absolutely. Just journalism is not going to make it anymore. Journalists, I think, the main thing that they need to start doing is not spreading more fake news, and learning how to not be a part of that. But what Drog does is also bring in the Microsofts, the EU, the ministries of defense or whatever. All of these partners are part of Drog projects as well, because no, just journalism is not going to save this anymore.
So this is a multi-layered approach in order to counter this. Yeah. I think it's a good answer, and it's not an easy question to answer, but thank you for answering. And well, I don't see any other questions anymore. So with that, I think we have to wrap up the show. Marije, once again, thank you. For having you, and it's great that you've shown us these tools like ReadyMag, but also the game. I think a lot of us are looking forward to go play it, and you have endless sort of paths you can follow in order to see what happens when you take different approaches, or you go for different answers. And we'll be sure to keep on following you on social media, of course, and to all the viewers, especially the live viewers who asked questions and who supported Marije, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for watching. And if you're watching at a later moment, so glad you did. Stay tuned, because we do a new show every last Thursday of the month at 5 p.m. CET. Thank you once again, Marije. It was a pleasure having you, and thank you for your advice and answering these questions. And we'll be looking at what comes out of these new projects and with these new tools from About Bad News, where every journalist gets to use technology to go behind the processes. Thank you. And with that, have a great day. Bye.